Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome back to Get Balanced, son, the Joker on Discord, if you will. Go ahead and join. He has the first FG Squadron Discord for himself, and you can always join my Discord, link in the description below. Getting his first kill in an adorable little tank destroyer, the Jagdpanzer 38T, also known adoringly as the Hetzer, by people who didn't actually serve in the vehicle. And you know what? I'm fine with that. We don't need any more 100-year-old Nazis here anyway. That's a joke. In any event, Get Balanced is now enjoying this beautiful little teeny adorable derpy weird slightly powerful slightly powerless tank destroyer at its new battle rating of 4.3, where you'll constantly face T-34 57s or later model T-34s with the 76mm cannon. In any event, nothing you can't handle in terms of your own firepower, but even a Sherman can punch through the Hetzer, if you'll let me call it Hetzer. You know what? I like calling it Hetzer. From the front. There are, for those of you that don't know, angled sides on the Jagdpanzer 38T. In the lower chassis, and we're going to quickly repair an ally here after saving his bacon and skip ahead a bit to the action. In the lower hull, the side armor actually angles in around the transmission, giving you a few inches of thin 15mm side armor on your front armor profile, again around where the transmission is. You can recognize it a little more easily from the front, and that is the best place to pen a Hetzer with a relatively low penetration round from the front. You are going to need the post-penetration effect to splash the crew through that transmission, but at least it's something. You don't have to rely entirely on trying to get the RNG of being able to successfully take down the cannon barrel from the front, which, as the Hetzer doesn't have a muzzle brake, I would love to see the 105 Hetzer, Howitz Hetzer, Das Habits Hetzer, ja, jawohl, which does have a significant muzzle brake, but that is not in the game now. I think that would be a great little event premium, just so you know. Another vehicle that would probably be comfortable at 4.0, 4.3. I would even hazard to put it at 4.0, as a 105 howitzer isn't going to do a whole lot in terms of meta gameplay, but that is a delightful subject for another time. We're just watching GBS rack up the kills. You can see that his team has control of the field, and Get Balanced is thoroughly flattening the enemy front line, pushing them all the way back to their spawn. Now, he fought to this place, and this position is the best area to find enemy tanks. Just a bit of an unlucky shot there as he gets a little sneaky peek of the side armor, highly angled, doesn't manage to punch through, but a second shot as the T-34 doesn't do the wise thing and GTFO the area, takes him down. Easy kills on the enemy spawn as the Hetzer finds itself just where it wants to be, in a nice semi-flanking position with nothing but straight on shots against enemies that aren't even focusing on him. It's a beautiful time to be a Panzer or a Panzerjäger, as the case may be. But with that high velocity 75mm cannon that is similar to the one found on the Panzer IV it is a delight whenever you get a chance to get a line of sight on the enemy. Nothing but the most highly angled or thickest armor at the battle ratings it can face stand a chance against the little toaster that could, and it does face some enemies in terms of the Archer and many other vehicles that can penetrate it even through its highly angled front plate. But GBS managed to avoid that scenario, and now we move on to QWERTY's. Yet another replay by our famed tank historian. What do you mean tank historian? Well, he likes to play tanks through a broad range of world history. So tank historian. What do you mean bully? Anyway, now facing off against 3 allied tanks in his Panzer III. What is this? The Panzer IIIM, I think? The one with the spaced armor and the high velocity 50mm cannon. Not quite as reliable as it used to be, as changes keep rolling in to how ballistics work in the game. I remember back in the day this used to deal with angled armor a lot better than it does now, but against flat turret rings, no problems whatsoever, and a beautiful shot on the 20mm driver's hatch takes down the old Ironsides. Valentine, yeah, that's right, Valentine. Trying to take down a what is this? Why can I not think of the name of this thing? M3 Lee, of course. They're trying to take down an M3 sometimes proves to be more of a challenge than you would think, as this American-style medium monstrosity can actually have some reasonably reliable armor under the right circumstances. As you see, get just a bit of range out of point blank against that 50mm cannon, and you start to lose armor penetration fairly rapidly. That is one of the advantages you find in contrast in the higher diameter cannons, along with many other advantages. But in terms of anti-tank capability, the high-velocity 50mm gun was a good stopgap until the long 75 appeared on tanks. But now we have the Das Stubpanzer. What do you mean Das Stubpanzer? It has the Stubby gun, yeah. This is a 75mm howitzer, and it is my baby. One of the few derp guns in the game. Yes, I do consider it a derp gun that has a significantly fast reload, and I just love these low velocity, high effect rounds, especially at the lower battle ratings that you find yourself in. This is a skill gun. You do have to aim carefully. You do have to consider the very low muzzle velocity of this gun, but all things taken into account, the short 75 on many of the earlier Panzer variants in the German line can be extremely powerful, as you are no doubt seeing for yourselves. That high fire rate, the armor penetration capabilities of the heat round. It's gonna be a while before heat FS. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But this is nonetheless a fantastic and enjoyable little tank, a premium in fact, which makes it onto my list of tanks I like to play because I love gold. Anyway, with already 5 kills, and I've just cut out briefly where QWERTY has to climb the big hill again. That's one of the downsides to getting killed on old Red Rocket Fortress. Sometimes it can take a while to get back to the good positions in the map, especially with these lower rank vehicles. And that is just fine. You know, there are some things that I dislike about Red Rock, especially in terms of usability with higher tier vehicles, but for low tier stuff, it has such a dynamic map design. It's one of those unrealistic maps that can still be really fun to play because there's so many different ways for you to move across the area. You could say that the fortress itself breaks up your movement options a little too much, and I think that's a valid argument to make. I'd like to see more paths through the walled off sections of the fortress, and more ability to scale bits of rubble, but overall this map is a lot of fun, especially once you get a handle on it, and especially, again, for low tier. Taking down an M3 Lee is by no means as difficult a task with the consistent armor penetration power of these chemical rounds, something that the armor profile of the M3 Lee really wasn't designed to handle, especially with its riveted armor. Popping rivets doesn't seem to be a thing in War Thunder yet. That would be a lot of fun, even though it would be a disadvantage across the board to all types of riveted armor. It would be cool to see direct impacts on the rivets, excuse me, Mr. Frog, rivet, on the rivets, or high explosive near hits, making rivets pop into the crew compartment as additional shrapnel. But a man can dream. Carrying on, did I notice correctly, the QWERTY's now taking on 3 enemy tanks, has passed up finishing off the Sherman 105, a wise decision as he quickly takes down an M8 Scott with its own stubby derp gun, and now is defending himself against a Stuart successfully, I might add, as his first round into the engine immobilized the brute, and the American light tank was unable to continue the fight as QWERTY's second round. And yes, now he is firing blind there, checking for the 105, who seems to have repositioned a bit around. Was that into the track? Was that artillery? Not quite sure, but I hear off to the left the movement of a tank. Could it be the Sherman 105? As Stuart is still set a fuego, I believe this will be his final fire. QWERTY is now looking for that American derp gun medium tank. So many derps in this match, and so many kills already, with QWERTY's up to 8, the Ocho and counting. And I keep hearing, there it is, an enemy tank off to his left. Is that a Brit boy? Yes, it is. Another Valentine. A hit to the loader. Valentine whirls around, but takes too long to aim. The quick reload of the German 75 howitzer, saving QWERTY's here in this situation. Again, this is a deadly gun once you get it on target, especially at these lower battle ratings. QWERTY is now repositioning as more enemies decide to move up, and his allies move in to hold the field. Now is the time for all good men to come and flank the enemy. QWERTY, when are you going to hit F to pay respects to some of that repair button? I'm not sure exactly what he would be repairing here, but we're going to see that little notification come up a few times. And I don't know, it gets a little bit annoying to see all these things popping up. There's certainly a disadvantage to the replay UI, especially if you're not used to watching these replays, and I apologize. I could crop the video to crop out things like the camera controls and the timer up on the top mid, but then you would miss out on a little bit of information, and frankly, I just don't want to do that. Anyway, there might be someone hiding in the attic, and frankly, I don't care. So, M22 Locust manages to survive 2 hits, although he's badly crippled by the second. The third taking down his driver, his last remaining crew member, perishing no doubt in the inferno. You're not likely to escape an M22 under enemy fire anytime soon. That is truly unfortunate. Not only is the crew of that light tank ghosting their way into eternity, but we're also hearing some ghost sounds in the replay. Ladies and gentlemen, the War Thunder replay system, we're hearing allied tanks sounds instead of the tank that we're spectating, and that is a fairly common bug with server replays. On that subject, QWERTY sends me a lot of replays, and I'm always proud of him. He always has something interesting to send me. Seems like one of those guys who does well in the game of War Thunder and also has a pretty good sense of humor in terms of what he takes out. Now, time to take it out of M8 Scott, and with one nice shot, he cleanly does. The survivability of this side shirts and having medium tank coming through for him when he needs it. Those skirts designed to protect against anti-tank rifles working just fine indeed as spaced armor against the M8 Scott's heat round that it relies so much on. I believe now, as QWERTY has picked up a few kills since I got sidetracked, that the explosion of those two allied B1 Turs actually caught, or was that a B1 BIS? I'm not sure. I think it was a BIS, now that I look at the side armor. But I think that actually tracked QWERTY's, who is now, presumably, typing something? I don't know. It is a server replay, right? And what I was going to mention is that QWERTY sends me a lot of replays, and I think he's actually a PlayStation player. I could be wrong. No, maybe he's not. He doesn't have the little asterisk on his name. But again, I could be wrong. He tends to send me server replays, and those are a lot less stable than the regular replays, the local replays that other people will send by finding that wrpl file in the replays section of your War Thunder install location. And that means that a lot of the replays he sends me just won't run. The War Thunder replay system is pretty buggy, and as he degosses the crew of that Crusader for his 15th kill in this match, my goodness, I'd just like to say that I appreciate QWERTY's sending in all these replays, even though sometimes they just crash and I'm not able to record them. So I'm a happy guy. As for you all, of course, feel free to send in your replays. You don't have to get a 15 kill game in low tier tank RB to get my attention. I love doing replay videos because everybody has their own way of playing and enjoying War Thunder, and I've had an absolute blast showing that off for you all. As this match begins to wind down to a close, QWERTY has just absolutely defenestrated the enemy team, taking down vehicle after vehicle, and the action is not quite done yet, as the enemy victory points grind away at the attrition of QWERTY himself for the vast part. Taking a shot to the back of his turret, was that from an ally? It didn't seem to do any internal damage to the tank, so does that mean it was an American 37? Another shot, and indeed it was an American 37 from the M3 American medium tank. Now QWERTY's shots are going through the frontal armor of this thick boy American medium, this odd duck, which has now been totally quacked by QWERTY for his 16th kill in this incredible match. Anyway, that just about does it for this one. Definitely feel free to follow the link in the description to the Thunder Zone Discord, where you can interact with myself and people like QWERTY, and feel free to send in your own replays. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.